So we're driving here in rural Indiana. Like a lot of small communities, this community stands out, and there's a significance here. A significance in our restoration churches, the Christian churches, churches of Christ, and where it all started. And in Steuben County, it was right here. We're at the crossroads of Metz. Used to be, this was a pretty thriving community. Post office, a barber shop, schools, and the focal point, the church. And here, Metz Christian Church. As a boy, I'd pass this church building a couple times a week, either headed to my grandparents' farm or down the road to Leela Gilbert, my piano teacher's house. I never realized, though, the significance of this church family here in Metz until recently at the 175th anniversary. And it's a story that ties into our restoration churches in Steuben County and the camp history, and it's a story I've just got to tell. So let's go. Well, hi, I'm here with Mike Hesterman. He's the minister here at Metz Christian Church. And recently, Mike, you just had a pretty big celebration here just in August. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
We did. August 5th, we celebrated the 175th anniversary for the church here. Not the exact day or month, but that was traditionally the churches gathered here at Steuben County the first part of August for meetings and celebrations, annual meetings as they cooperate with each other. So we thought that would be the right time to have it. So
right,
that was a good day.
So when you said they gathered, was there a gathering place? Was it here at the church or nearby?
It seems to have been shared, but they did often gather here for an annual meeting, and there's evidence that they gathered actually at what they called a sugar bush, a collection of maple trees south of town, about a quarter of a mile down, where they gathered for an annual picnic in August.
Okay.
And it was oftentimes held there, but other churches also hosted it throughout the year.
All right. So Mike, can you tell me some of the significance of the history of the Metz Church and that relates to the other restoration churches in Steuben County?
Well, evidence and what we have found as we dug around a little bit is, of course, that this church, the Metz Church, was the first of the restorationist churches in Steuben County, and was instrumental in helping to get other churches started in the county through encouragement and through the sharing of some of their own members. And of course, each of those churches was brought into existence for their locality. Transportation was still difficult in the early, late 1800s and early 1900s. They were still traveling by horse and by buggy and by ox or walking, as the case may be. So it was instrumental. This church was instrumental in helping those churches get their start.
Okay.
And they often shared preachers that would come and they would hold meetings, at various places to help encourage and grow the church. So there was a lot of not only camaraderie but cooperation throughout the county with the churches.
Right. So you could almost say that the Metz Church was kind of the mother of the restoration churches here in this area.
Yes, that would be a fair statement because they certainly were the first one, and they helped to some degree with the planting of the other ones, with the through cooperation, helping them get started.
Right.
Yeah.
Now tell me a little bit. I know you've been probably working for at least a year or so planning this event, and something happened along the way where you were redoing some landscaping out front, and you had to pull some of the old flagstone or the limestone out that used to be landscaped there. Can you tell us a little bit about that project and how that's tied in? Because Mike also is a dean for our boys' wilderness camp, and he kind of tied that in this summer. I wanted him to share that.
Well, our wall was deteriorating, especially there was two types of rock in there. There was a red lime and a gray lime, and the gray limestone was fracturing. It was splitting, long ways throughout the rock, and it was deteriorating, and it became, we needed to do something, and so we went ahead and redid our landscaping with the rock wall, the retaining walls, and then we had all the old rock, and a lot of it was still good. The gray wasn't in such good shape, but the red rock was. And we really wanted something to do with that would be worthwhile. And we had a lot of people asking what we were going to do with it, and we thought about doing some work around the parsonage with it and tossed some ideas around. One of our members, Lee Greenemeyer, came up to me, and he knew that we always did projects out at the camp, and he said, well, what if we build kind of an ultra type shaped thing with a cross coming out of it, that people could gather around and pray, and from that conception, we kind of expanded a little bit, and during our week of summer camp there, built what we so far have just called the Prayer Pavilion. It hasn't technically officially been named yet by the camp, but kids worked pretty hard at it. Come out pretty good.
Yeah. Yes, it did, and I just thought it was a significant story. When you think about the Mets here and becoming, being the mother of these churches, but also knowing that if it wasn't for this church and even some of the founding members and their families here, there wouldn't be a camp, because some of the history ties directly back into the founding church members here at Metz, who were instrumental in starting Lake James Christian Camp and Retreat Center.
I tell you, I've been impressed with not only here in Steuben County, but up in this area, the cooperation of the churches. The camp is a huge example of how well the churches have worked together and had common shared vision for something beyond themselves. And I'm thrilled that this church has been a part of that, and that I get to be a part of it.
Well, welcome to the Prayer Pavilion. It truly is a beautiful spot back here, and I invite you to come back here anytime. There's a lot of symbolism built into this area. There are 3 crosses back here. The main cross behind me, a cross leaning backwards that you can't see, and a cross leaning towards the cross of Christ. This also symbolizes for me what Mike mentioned, a common shared vision for something beyond themselves. You see, there's a little piece of the Metz church here in these stones, reminding us of the foundation that was laid by that church in the county, and planting other churches, and ultimately coming around to a vision for this camp ministry. And as we approach 90 years, I'm amazed at what God has done and continues to do through this vision. We have 78 campers this summer that made decisions for Christ in baptism, in rededicating their lives, and in full-time Christian service. And so I want to thank you for being a part of this common shared vision for something beyond yourself, and may God continue to be glorified.